Most of these insurance companies are bankrupt because of derivative speculation. AIG was what? An insurance company. It's bankrupt a million times
because
over.
it set up a hedge fund in England. Exactly, Webster.
The Hartford got $3.5 billion off the bailout. They're bankrupt. MetLife just reported $1.5 billion losses from derivatives in the second quarter. The Obama plan is this. Talk about single payer. Well, not even talk about it. Talk about a government option. But when push comes to shove, you give up the government option, but you keep the individual mandate. The individual mandate means you are coerced to buy insurance from a for-profit private insurance company that's deregulated, that's got, rapacious executives. You can't sue them, and your life depends on it. And let me just tell you, the scenario was in the Washington Post here last Friday. We have a guy called Henry Aaron of the Brookings Institution. This is the left-wing, the sort of Democratic Party think tank. He says, my advice to Obama is this. Put up a bold front of wanting a public option, and at the end of the day, say, Senator Grassley, Senator Enzi, in the name of unity and Republican support, I will give up the public option if you climb on board.
Which is really the corporate fascist bailout that Republicans want, and then the Republican horde will feel like they've won, and then the Democrats will all suck their thumbs pathetically.
Exactly, and that is the fascist corporate state. In other words, what that talks about then is a government-sponsored compulsory cartel for the benefit of the private companies to drive down care, to cut your life short, but to prop up the derivatives debt of these private insurance companies.
And
That's the scenario.
By the way, they're saying that. So what happens is everybody gets cruddy health care basically now, and the insurance companies just stop providing it and no longer have liability, because in this bill, if they're involved in any way with the government program, they're now given liability protection, the worst possible thing we could imagine. And so now health care even goes to hell faster. In fact, deaths from avoidable medical error more than doubled in the past decade, investigations show. This is out of the Scientific American. Just cutting off the wrong legs, leaving knives and scalpels inside people. Just hellish. 400,000+ dying a year from bad drug interactions. All of that, just like vaccine makers, now all of big pharma, now all of big medicine, now taken over by the hedge funds, as you said, Webster, is now can just walk away. And as we said off air, we're no longer an industrial nation. We're falling apart. We can't support the high-tech system we built, and so now it just all goes down the drain. And the elites jet off to Switzerland for health care.
Right, the clinic in Zurich. Here's the other thing. Medicare will be looted and destroyed. So what Johnson was able to put in place at the end of the New Deal will be destroyed by Obama. So really, the fight against Obama is a fight to defend the existing New Deal institutions, which are vital for the survival of old people. The other thing is, Obama's made a deal with Big Pharma. Let's not forget them, the pharmaceutical companies. And he says, I guarantee you that there will be no cheap prescriptions coming from Canada, and I guarantee you that we will not haggle. We will not use the buying power of Medicare to get the prices down on the prescriptions that people need to buy.
And that guaranteed is cold-bloodedly going to kill millions of people over the next decade.
Absolutely.
Who are surviving on those cheap drugs that in many cases are 1/3 or less the price, because Americans pay the most because we're known as the schmucks.
So therefore, with Obama, he's going to get $150 million of television advertising. With Harry and Louise, the shills for the insurance company, are now back supporting Obama, because that's the secret. It's not when Pelosi comes out and says the insurance companies are villains. This is pure demagogy. She's in bed with the private insurance company. She's got to make it look otherwise, because you got to remember, 62% of the Democratic Party wants a single payer, and they're wondering why the hell they don't get anything. And of course, they will get nothing because it's Obama. That's the ultimate answer. Is the reason that this reform is not viable.
He is the corporate fraud. And that's what's so insane, Webster. All these years we fought Bush and his agenda. We're now being called racist. I want to go to calls right now, but I briefly just wanted to have you. They're erasing my videos, and not videos where I'm yelling and screaming, or not spoofs I did to promote a Joker T-shirt contest. But they are erasing very calm, collected videos where I talk about how they want Republicans and Democrats to fight with each other to dissipate the awakening, the revolution, the general strike against government, against both parties. They want to make it partisan, to divide and conquer, to balkanize. They will not let those videos go out on YouTube. Every time they go viral, they're erasing them, calling them racist, and the message is, let us come together. Now, if that doesn't show and prove they are pimping race, and that this is so cold-blooded, Webster.
You can ask Bill Clinton, who said they played the race card on me in South Carolina. So this is simply the Obama method, and it's deplorable. And I'm sure there are many in the black community. Again, the people over at Black Agenda Report don't fall for that for 1 minute, and I'm sure lots of people don't. This is essentially, I would call this ideological terrorism, where you brand somebody as a racist because you can't refute them, right? It's like being told that, if you were interested in 9/11 truth, you were a subversive or Al-Qaeda or whatever it was. So this is just, we've gone through a period of the war on terror, the aftermath of 9/11. That was the great covert operation of the first part of the decade. Now we've got Obama being used in an attempt to keep a lid on the entire situation, but I don't think so. I think, as you say, the power of the mass strike, which is what you're seeing, that's a mass strike movement among old people saying, we don't want to be euthanized. We don't want to become cannon fodder for genocide for these insurance companies and ultimately for the derivatives, right? So we're saying no to austerity, no to cuts, and we deserve to live. But
Webster, we understand all that. The bigger discussion here is, how are they going to counter people saying no, no, no at every front? They're booing Republicans off the stage everywhere. We've played the videos here. The media won't touch that. I'm saying it's like garlic or a cross or holy water to a vampire to show that Republicans and Democrats are being booed off the stage. We see a real populist revolution of constitutional rebellion forming to really unseat the corporate criminals looting us, and the media is trying to turn us on each other. I'm saying the maximum effort has got to be unity against the bankers, audit the Fed, bring them to justice. And they are really manifesting their tyranny by erasing our videos, by beating people up, by going to people's houses and death threatening them. I'm just confirming what you wrote in your book from studying him. They really do want to turn America into a Chicago mob-run system, and I don't think it's going to work. I think it's going to have explosive ramifications.
Right, and I think what I personally try to do is to intervene in this with a program, because you can have a mass movement, but if you wish to get to the government, if you want to govern, if you want to take power in crude terms, you've got to be able to solve these problems, and I think that's going to require an economic program which would need to be discussed. And therefore, I hope if we can get to gridlock at the moment, in other words, if we can simply block this so-called health care reform, but also block the cap and trade. That's extremely important. I would think that in the middle of all the troubles that Obama's having, it would also be possible to prevent the Senate from passing this cap and trade monstrosity that the House has already passed. That's got to be stopped, too, because that's another
Stop. We're going to cover that next hour. I want to go back to calls, but breaking news. Nemo has identified the supposed guy with the gun strapped on his hip that the cops let pace around for the media, which they wouldn't let anybody else do. They would violate your rights. He's got a IFB earpiece like I have. Only people in TV or only Secret Service type people, law enforcement, would have that. Only TV people. This model is a professional grade, because we know these. We've got a bunch of them. He's got a professional grade one. Blow that up for folks, Hoosh, please, if you can. He's got a professional grade one in that does not go with telephones. And he looks just like a cop. Webster, boy, that sounds like provocateurin, doesn't it?
Yes. And again, that's why I say that with Obama, you're getting the worst of Nixon as well. You're getting enemies lists. Nixon called it preventive detention. Now
remember, Nixon wanted to bomb the political convention and blame it on his enemies? That's declassified.
Right. And of course, breaking into somebody's psychiatrist to try to find out what he was up to. The Ellsberg psychiatrist break in. Anyway, essentially secret intelligence agents running all over the place. In the Obama case, they're sometimes privatized, right? They're sometimes foundation operatives, but it's the same thing. Obama is the worst of Carter, the worst of LBJ, and the worst of Nixon. I think it's going to be almost impossible for him to stave off some kind of a rebellion inside his own party. And I would urge, again, leftists. The leftists have to get out there and do some heavy lifting. It's important for them to come into the field.
They just want to drink tea and feel important, and they just want to come in our houses and take our property. They're just looking for the silverware. Let's take another call here. They're just Nazis. They